So Sam, it'd be great to continue our conversation, and previously you've mentioned, you've come from a place where you had a challenging upbringing, but I think that sometimes informs where we are now as an individual, isn't it? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and I think you've got a really compelling story in terms of from your life growing up in Bolton to now being a successful social entrepreneur and running many previous businesses before. So it'd be really great if maybe you could be kind enough to share your sort of story with the audience today.
Absolutely, David. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, so thank you for giving me the opportunity. So yeah, I was born here in Bolton. I grew up from a single parent background. I was one of 4 kids, a young mum who was 23, 4 kids, all different dads. I struggled growing up, poverty-stricken streets, not many opportunities. Struggled at school, 3 primary schools before the age of 11. Labelled and judged and stigmatised most of my life, even from my own siblings too. And really found school and life very challenging for me. And my life-changing moment was when my mum married a man who became my stepfather, and he was very violent to us, used to hit us and attack us. My brother was placed into care at 6, and then I followed him at 13, and that was it. My life kind of took a real decline, ended up in the wrong crowd with different young people from the same kind of streets. And then at first taste of youth custody, just changed from DC detention centres to youth custody. I was 14 and ended up in Warrington House, and then I was released from there within 6 days. I was back in the same place. Just in and out of prison, couldn't break the cycle, bad influences in my life, just kept going back to the same cycle, couldn't break the circle. And then eventually the light bulb moment for me was to change my life was when my son was born in 1994, he's now 30, and I wanted to get away from the life I was living. I found my brother dead through heroin overdose, all my friends started selling drugs and getting involved in crime. I decided I wanted to get away from that life I was living, and I moved to the seaside of Blackpool, left Bolton with black bin bags and a newborn baby son. I knew I had responsibilities, and I wanted to give my son things I never had in my life, such as love, care, attention. And I decided enough was enough. I went out into the community of Lytham, St Anne's, knocking on doors, started from the boot of my car with a bucket, a sponge, and started washing people's cars. I built up a really good customer base. I then cross-sold window cleaning, driveway cleaning, carpet cleaning, a whole range of cleaning services. And then I took over an old petrol station and turned that into a 5-lane car wash, and we provided valeting services. Customers were coming from across the Fylde coast. But what was really the buzz for me was seeing young people, all young people who knocked upon my door for jobs, for opportunities. I give them opportunities where others didn't, and I've seen the potential in them there, and I started them off, washing the wheels, meeting and greeting customers, and it just built from there really. And then I ended up winning contracts with Costa Coffees, Greggs, and doing the kind of commercial cleaning contracts. So kind of that's my story really. But I've always been involved in business. I've always looked at different opportunities. I've sold a few businesses as well. I sold the cleaning business, but I've really got a passion for young people. Really see that from my particular story, no one helped me, written off, labelled and judged. No one ever helped me. I've helped myself. I've transformed my own life, but I just want to help others. I just genuinely care about other people, and that's for me, David, is kind of I can't help being me who I am, but just to show people a different way of life, that they can sell anything. It's like a story I share with a lot of people, is the story of the boy William, how he started a business with a box of eggs. Anybody can start a business. It's just having the right people and the right support around them really.
Yeah, and I think it's really quite key, isn't it, for yourself, as you say, growing up in care and then sort of finding your brother dead, that sort of impact, different sort of siblings, but it's about you and your determination, your grit and your resilience, and those things are great sort of entrepreneurial talents. They're great personal talents, and I think you're quite right. It's being able to say, I want to have a different life, and particularly if we sort of reflect on how that might sort of be to someone coming through the prison system now. They might have negative influences, and the easiest thing to do is to go back to the route of least resistance, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Go back to your friends. When you get out, you've got no money, come with me, hold this, sell that, move that on. because you've got no money, you need something to live, you know. And the story about, you know, you leaving Bolton with 2 black bin bags is quite similar to a lot of people coming out of prison with the 2 black bin bags and their £76 discharge grant, which may be slightly more now. But, you know, what do you do to earn, what do you do to survive? And I think, you know, being able to say, you know, I've got a skill and I've got a talent to be able to change your life, I think is a credit to you, and you know, I'm proud to sort of have you as my ambassador. You know, got to know yourself and your family and the way that you are, and you know, I think for me it is really important. And that sort of role model, I think for the young people, but also for the work we do in prisons, I think is really sort of quite clear. And we talked in the first session about your Meet and Motivate and inspiring sessions, so we've done a number of those, having in the prison, to sort of be able to say to people, well, do you know what? I've stood in your shoes, I've slept in the same sort of area, and it made me remind us what we talked about when we were down at Wellington House. We went back earlier this year,
yes,
which you disclosed was one of your sort of first sort of custodial places. So how was that for you, if you don't mind sharing, going back to where you sort of served, you know, your initial sort of sentence, and then how do you feel that impacted the young people we talked to as part of our sort of Meet and Motivate session?
Well, it was an inspiring day going back. It was 30 years since I was actually in that place, and to go back there and to see those young people, and we know when we first sat with those young people, they were, you know, they were a bit nervous, they were quite negative, but by the end of the session they were inspired, and for me that's the key, is that inspiration, and we've seen the smiles upon their faces, and we've seen we've made a difference, we've changed their lives. That was the beginning of it. It's a shame that we didn't take that further forward, and that the prison didn't recognise that really, because we could have done so much with those young people. But they've all got skills, they've all got talents, and you know, they might meet the teachers in the school and in the prisons, but there's no better way than, you know, those who've got that, who have had that lived experience will inspire them, and that's what more is needed. And even, you know, you go back to the school to prison pipeline, it's needed in there to stop, you know, the rising number of NEETs and those who are then on the path to prison. So what we did at Wellington House can be replicated anywhere. And I think it's a case of building upon that, of how we then create, you know, to get out of the mess that we're in society is about creating enterprises, and the future is those young people.
That, I think that's really quite key. And we know the number of young people in prisons is reducing, which is good, you know, but you know, quite topically we know that we're probably going to max 90,000 people in prison in the coming sort of weeks, and that's projected to go to 100,000 by the end of this sort of decade. So the more people going to prison, more people being locked up. So we need to find ways to sort of unlock that potential, as we talk about, and having that inspiring sort of speakers going in, and you know, that positivity. You know, and we've talked before, isn't it, about, you know, people would say, wow, the impact that you've had at, like, sort of Preston, where, you know, again, an area where you've been before, that, you know, people have walked in your shoes, you've slept in the same beds. It's so impactful. And I think, you know, what we'd like to do in the final session is explore a little bit more about that in the ambassador programme, and some of the work that we want to do in the future to maybe stop that prison, that school to prison pipeline, that care leaver pipeline, you know, to really make society safer, you know, and give people an opportunity to lead crime-free lives.
But just a final point though, as well, is that, you know, the UK, we're built on a service industry now, so there's lots of opportunities out there, such as vehicle valeting, carpet cleaning, window cleaning, all low-skilled jobs, but that pay good money. Yeah. So there's lots of opportunities out there. You know, there's loads of them. It's a case of just, you know, helping those people to get into those opportunities.
Excellent, and we'll look at that in the final part.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, David.